Driving your Jeep or 4x4 on the dunes at Silver Lake is an awesome experience. It's something that I think everyone with a 4x4 in the Midwest should experience. But it can be intimidating for first-time visitors. In this video, I'll tell you everything you need to know to get your Jeep or 4x4 out on the dunes. Silver Lake is a 2,000-acre state park on the west side of Michigan, and within that 2,000 acres, there are 450 acres set aside for off-road vehicles. But you do need a few things, and you need to know a few things before you show up to take your Jeep out on the dunes at Silver Lake. The first thing you need, obviously, is a vehicle that is capable of driving on the sand. Now, you don't need a built Jeep. Any stock 4x4 will do, and even all-wheel drive vehicles are okay on the dunes with some limitations. Now, I would avoid taking vehicles, even if they are all-wheel drive, that have low-profile tires, because you're going to need to air those tires down in order to increase your footprint and your traction in the sand. The other things that you need before you go out on the dunes, you need a dune flag and you need your ORV stickers. Now, if you have time before your trip, you can order your ORV stickers through the state of Michigan. But if you're in a pinch, you can also buy these stickers at several retailers in Michigan. Once you have your ORV stickers, you need to place them on the back of your vehicle. Another requirement for entering the ORV area is to have a flag mounted to the front of your vehicle. Now, the local 4x4 shops sell these flags. I would recommend looking for a two-piece flag if you can find one. They're much easier to stow in the vehicle when you go to leave. I would also recommend putting some thought into how you're going to mount that dune flag to the front of your vehicle before you arrive to Silver Lake. Now, the local 4x4 shops do sell some brackets, so you could possibly find something there that would work for your vehicle. But again, it would be a good idea to have a plan before you arrive to the park. I've also seen folks using suction cup mounted dune flags as a temporary option as well. Now that you have your ORV tags on the vehicle, you have your dune flag mounted, it's time to air down your tires. Now, there are a ton of great videos online about the nuances, the do's, the don'ts of airing down for off-road driving. What's worked for me in the past, for a first trip with a new setup, I would start at 15 psi before you go out on the sand and see how things work. If you find that you are lacking traction, you can take a few more psi out. 12 seems to work pretty good for me with my current setup, but I will tell you, every vehicle, every Jeep that I've taken to the dunes has been a little bit different. It depends on the weight of the vehicle. It depends on the tire compound, the stiffness of the sidewall. But a good starting point is 15 psi. That'll get you out on the sand, and then you can tweak things from there. So if you are airing your tires down, you certainly need to bring a good tire gauge with you. And there's a few other things that I would recommend having in your vehicle before you head out on the dunes. You should have some sort of recovery strap if you find yourself in a position where you're hung up or stuck and you need a tug to get unstuck. It's good to have your own strap. I would also be sure to bring a cooler with some drinks. It's easy to lose track of time when you get out on the sand and find yourself thirsty and on the verge of dehydration. Now, alcoholic beverages are not permitted, so make sure you don't have any of those in your cooler, though, before you head to the park. So the ORV staging area for a first-timer, especially if it's on a weekend in the middle of summer, will seem chaotic. But there are a few things that you need to remember. Number one, the parking area is for folks who have reservations. So don't plan on finding a spot in that parking area to air down or mount your dune flag. You want to have all of that ready to rock before you even enter the ORV staging area. Now, as you come into the park, there is a small area over to your left with 15-minute short-term parking where you can make some last-minute adjustments if necessary. But my recommendation to you, especially if you're a first-timer, is to have everything ready to rock and roll before you enter that ORV staging area. So now you've made it through the staging area, you're finally out on the dunes. And once again, things may seem chaotic here if it's a weekend. So what I would recommend doing is pulling over to your left, facing south. You will see Test Hill, the beginning of the high dune area. It's okay to pull up here and watch other people try to crest the hill. Just catch your breath and get a sense of how traffic is flowing on the dunes. So the high dune area and the area just north of the high dune area is one way. That's southbound traffic only, and that's really important. Now, you will see signs in this area now to make sure that folks understand what's going on. But what I would recommend for a first timer would be, after you've watched people at Test Hill, back away, head down, and take a drive on the beach. This is a good way just to get the feel for how things are flowing, how traffic is moving out on the dunes, and get a little bit of experience driving in the sand. In this video, I'll give some basic tips for driving on the dunes. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here. There are quite a few channels out there that go into the nuances of dune driving in great detail, and I would certainly recommend checking out those videos. I will give some basic tips though for beginners. The first tip is, if you are cresting a dune and you find yourself stuck, you don't have enough momentum to make it over the dune, or you've bogged in deep sand, stop the vehicle, take a deep breath, make sure that your front tires are pointed straight, and slowly back down the dune. Do not attempt to turn around on the dune, otherwise you run the risk of a rollover. Just send it is rarely the right answer. Now, in some instances, it is the right answer and the only answer, but I would not recommend heading out to the dunes for the first time and planning to jump dunes and go crazy. Take your time, take it easy, and when you reach the crest of these dunes, the goal is to slow down so that your vehicle naturally stops at the crest of the dune, and make sure you understand just how steep the descent is. It can also be difficult at times to really see what lies in front of you, depending upon lighting conditions, depending upon visibility. There can be times where an inexperienced person can get themselves in trouble because they don't understand what lies in front of them. So again, if in doubt, slow down, make sure you understand how your vehicle handles on the sand on any given day, and make sure when you're descending or ascending dunes, you're pointed straight up or straight down. The other tip that I have for you is to stay out of the water down by the beach. It looks tempting, it looks like a lot of fun, and chances are everything will be fine, but you're never quite sure how deep those puddles are until you see someone else go through the water. So I would recommend to stay away from the water and watch other people do dumb stuff. Once you get a feel for how your vehicle handles on the dunes, you get a feel for how traffic flows, it's an absolute hoot, and you can start to take more risks and have more fun. The other thing I will tell you is to be on the lookout for the pre-runners and the buggies that are blasting through the park. These folks are obviously experienced. Their level of talent and ability far exceeds that of most people in the park. And they are hauling through the high dune area and often coming back around for another go. So just stay out of their way. Make sure that you look both ways before you cross major thoroughfares to avoid turning what should be an enjoyable experience into a disaster. Silver Lake Sand Dunes ORV area is an awesome place to visit. And as I said at the beginning of the video, anyone in the Midwest with a capable rig owes it to themselves to at least try the dunes one time. The other thing to mention is that there is an air up station as you exit the park, so you can air up those tires and get back out on the road. Stay tuned, like, subscribe, tell your Jeep friends, and thanks for watching.